Welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Testing Room, where 3 of video gaming. I don't even know, how does this go again? I've been up since 3:40 in the morning. So let's try this once again. Reset. Welcome everyone to the Testing Room, where 3 of the best consultants in the video game industry who've never consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week.
Sounds about right.
I think, as always, I'm Alex, aka the Godfather. It's gonna be a long night. Eesh.
Yeah. I'm Christian, aka it's about as good as it's gonna get.
I'm Preston, aka we've been doing this for about 3 years now.
Yeah, but I've been up for a long time today. To be fair, like I
figured you'd just be able to pull it out whenever. You've been doing it for 3 years, once a week.
You would think, and that is not the case.
Sometimes twice a week.
It happens.
It's not the case. It is not the case. So, in fact, let me tell you about my day today.
Sure.
And
let's just. You want to just get right into weeks, or do we want?
No. We can talk about our week separate. I just want to tell you about my day, and just my day. And I apologize for the salty language. I just feel like it needs to be said for the story. So I get up at 3:45 this morning to catch a lift, like shower really quick and catch a lift at like 4:10. And this person wants to talk
Of course they
the
do.
whole time.
You ever thought about just ignoring them?
You can't. So like
can.
Okay, really quick.
totally can.
Where is sassy Preston coming from? Because it sounds like he wasn't here, and then Alex made fun of Star Wars Outlaws, and then he showed up abruptly.
I got in the car with my jacket and hood up, and then over my hood was like my Beats headphones, which are like this big, man. Like the headset I'm wearing right now, like they're massive. Like you can tell, like I have headphones on.
Brag.
No, I'm just saying they're not my AirPods. Like if my AirPods were in under my hood, you couldn't tell I'm wearing headphones. So I get it. But like I was wearing these over the hood, so like you can clearly tell like I'm wearing headphones.
The flag that says "Don't talk to me."
Which, yeah, it's 4 in the morning, man. Like who at all? If this is 9, I get it. 10, sure. Anything after, whatever. Who wants to talk at 4 in the morning? And this person is straight up like, "Where are you going?" "Airport." "Which airline?" "Delta." And then from there, it just devolved. Like, "Oh, are you going home? Where's home?" "Atlanta." That's like you're getting like one word answers, right? She's like, "Man, yesterday they rained so hard. I had this client like that I went to pick up who also drives, like hit a pothole because they couldn't see it in the rain, and then they had to like wait, but like cost them $1,000, but at least they were okay. And like that was yesterday, but today like I woke up and I was getting up early. It's just like I don't care. Like I don't want to be an a-hole, but it's 4 in the morning. Like what are you doing?" So I get to the airport. I get through security. Luckily, that's fast because I have clear and like pre-check, so it was like instant. And I get through there. I get to my gate not too long before we board, and they're like, "Hey guys, just so you know, like our terminal, like this one terminal at the gate right now, just went down. So boarding is going to take a little bit longer than normal. When you walk up here, you're going to want to have your ID out, and you're going to need to tell us your first name and your last name and your supposed seat. And then we're going to find you on the paper manifest and mark you off, and then we're going to type it into the computer to show you're here." And when you have to do that for like 300 people, like a full flight, like it takes a long time. So then we get on the plane, and I'm sitting here, like I start texting Christian because I sent him a couple of things on Instagram, or like you guys in general, a couple of things on Instagram. Like he responded to one, so I was like, okay, he's awake. Yeah. So like I'm texting him. By this point, it's like 6:40 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning or something. Mind you, I've been up for a couple hours already, and already pissed off. So I'm texting him while I'm sitting down, and I look over, and this motherfucker beside me is watching.
By sitting down, you mean you are in the plane?
In the plane.
You were on the plane. Yeah.
On the plane. And this fucking dude beside me.
Wait, really quick context. You should tell everybody where you're sitting in this plane, because I think it's probably relevant.
So I got upgraded from my basic seat to like Comfort Plus is what Delta calls it. And Comfort Plus has more leg room. I had a window seat so I could go the F to sleep. And they upgraded me to a middle seat.
cool.
So now I'm like, yes, I'm also
Now
pissed.
the irritability is up a little higher.
So I'm also pissed for that. And like, I can't go back. I can't be like, no, give me my window seat back. That's not how that
Yeah.
works. So they're like, oh, I got upgraded. Like, they said this says like seat E, and it goes D, E, F. So anyway, then this guy, Todd from Minnesota. I know his last name
Minnesota.
too. I know his last name too, which is I'm not gonna dox him on
Yeah,
our
let's not do
podcast.
that. Yeah.
But I can find you, Todd, and I'm still not sure I won't. I look over, and he's watching the first season of Game of Thrones, and what do I look over and see? Just Theon Greyjoy and the redhead just straight fucking on the screen. I'm like, dude, it's too early for this shit. It's 6 in. Like, turn on some fucking Bluey or something. Like, I don't know, but like, we don't need like OG Game of Thrones was really graphic, like
Yeah.
way more than
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
recent Game of Thrones or whatever. Like, you're on a plane, and like, I'm not even a prude. I'm one of those people. It's like, you do you, but like, there are things that you just like come. It's early. It's fucking early. So we start to take off, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm gonna close my eyes. I've already established dominance from Todd and bumped his arms off the middle seat because those are mine now. Like, you have the window. And he proved he had the window because as soon as we hit the air, dim the lights, hey everybody, it's gonna be a chill flight. We're not gonna do everything. He left the window open the entire time. Everybody within a 10-row radius is sleeping or trying to sleep, and if you look at everybody on the aisle, they're all turned away from him, praying they can just get away from the sun so we can sleep for the next hour and 30 minutes.
I would have reached over. And
I was back and forth with like, I'm a little bit sleepy, I'm not, and I'm a little sleeping, I'm not, except the fact that a child behind me. So this child, I feel rummaging around in the back, and I was like, whatever, it's not bothering me that much until he raises, I guess first, he lowers the tray table. And he raises the tray table and drops it. And he goes, boof. And he raises it and he drops it. And he goes, boof. So like, I'm feeling and hearing this like on my seat, right? And nothing's too loud because I have headphones, like my noise canceling on, I listen to music. But like, I also feel it too, like in the seat. So he does it about 6 or 7 times, and I turn around and just stare into the soul of his dad. Like, just stare into him, and he looks at me and looks over and is like, you need to stop that now. I'm like, bro, how did it get to this mini? Why did you not stop this then? Like, why are you stopping this now? Like,
because
you don't
he wasn't
know.
gonna do anything until you complained.
You don't know my morning. I'm about to throw hands. Like, you don't understand.
On the kid.
Right? On everyone around. On the kid. Todd's gonna catch it. Like, everybody's about to catch it. Right? So this is like, by the time this happened, I looked at my phone, and there's like 32 minutes until we like hit the gate according to the Flighty app. So like, we're on our descent, whatever. We're on the way down. I get it. So like, we land, and I'm in the 10th row, so I'm like out. I'm like the first row behind first class, so like I'm off the plane immediately. And it's fine. Weave in and out of people. I know this airport like the back of my hand. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to get the F home, right? So I take the plane train, which like the train takes you underground to the baggage claim. I walk up the escalator. Nobody's in front of me. Everybody just move, right? Like I'm just walking my way to go. Then I get to the train that takes me to parking. And there's an escalator going up, and there's an escalator coming down. Everybody coming into the airport could go down, and there's stairs in the middle. I take the stairs. I don't want to be stuck behind anybody standing on the escalator. I want to be home. Like, I'm just irritated by this point. So I'm looking at my phone. Like, I'm walking on my phone, and I glance up, I see the stairs, so I start walking up the stairs. The downward escalator is broken. So everybody coming into the airport has to walk down the stairs, okay? There's not a lot of room. You can fit 2 people side by side. That's fine. I'm walking up these stairs, and I'm on my phone, and this guy thinks I'm oblivious to the world. So I hear someone start whistling at me. Like, hey, look up. I'm coming down the stairs. And I'm just thinking, hey, Dick, I know, I saw, I'm not a puppy. What are you doing? So I ignore him with like my backpack on and something in my hand, and I just move the stuff in my hand in front of me and walk up the stairs like a fucking human being. Now he has a choice because he's coming down the stairs followed by everybody else with their suitcase. And mind you, there's enough for 2 people. The suitcase will not fit between us. So what would you do? I assume you would hold the suitcase in front of you and you would walk down. But no, this entitled white prick in a fucking suit in his 50s thinks that I'm going to teach this guy, because you can't look at me and think I'm a kid. Like, I'm too old for that shit. Like, I don't pull off kid status anymore, right? I'm not a small dude either. So, like, he goes, I'm going to teach this guy a lesson. I'm going to bang my suitcase into him on purpose. Doesn't even try. Now, here's the thing about people is that we're solid. So I don't know if you think like you're going to bang it into me and I'm going to move, but if you have any visual spatial skills, you realize that's not an option. We don't have the room to move. So I'm walking up. He hits me about like mid-waist to knees with his suitcase. Except this prick doesn't realize that I don't give a fuck. So I keep walking straight through it, and because I have upward momentum and he's coming down, it knocks his arm back and he loses his grip on his suitcase. At which point it falls and then tumbles down all of the stairs as he just watches it and then just starts cursing out loud. And I'm like, you fucking did this, dude.
You did this.
Like, that's just karma. Also, you're two about to catch hands. Like, you don't know this morning.
It's like the Ryan from Office, like you write the like you've made the list.
The only thing that saved this man is the fact that I had voodoo donuts in my hand as like a gift for Allie, because she's like, get some from Orlando, and I couldn't because I didn't have a chance, but they happened to have them in Austin, so I had like 6 donuts in my hand. So they were full. But bro, and I didn't say anything to him. I just had my headphones on and I just kept going because by this point I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah,
because it's not going to be polite. It's not going to be polite, right? But, like, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, I don't know if he thought you would knock into me and, like, your bag would magically, like, pass through my body. Like, I don't... So, like, then when he was just cursing, I'm just like... I mean, that was funny in itself. Because, like, what did you think was going to happen? Right? Like, it just... My morning was insane. I don't think I've had this bad of a travel day. Maybe ever. Right? Like, I've had a bad passenger on a plane. But, like, not, like, a string.
Yeah.
It was nuts. I don't know if today's a full moon or what, but oh boy, like I was not a happy camper by the time I got to my car. The only thing that made it better was like that entitled white prick had to like go pick up his nice suitcase off the floor because he's an idiot.
I hope someone broke it.
Me too. Yeah. Everything. I hope your laptop was in there because I didn't see a backpack. Like maybe your laptop was there, but like just. You know, I complain about this. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to be nice, which is why I was putting up with the driver, right? Like, I wasn't being an a-hole to the Lyft driver. She clearly wasn't going to let me not talk, so I will entertain you. You're just going to get minimal entertainment at 4 a.m, but I was nice about it. But man, everybody else, Christian knows what I'll do too. Is like I'm very passive aggressive on an airplane. So the dude like just watching Game of Thrones and other stuff and just like window open, like I'm texting about it, but my phone is up and I'm hoping like he would just glance over like most people do at my phone and see it, and then he would be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna stop. He didn't. I, however, did glance at his phone when he pulled up his Delta app. And that's how I know his name, Todd. And I can still find you, Todd. So if anybody knows a Todd that left Austin and was going to Minnesota, because we probably have some reach, let him know he's the worst when it comes to airlines.
Let me tell you, I straight up, I've done this before. It's been a long time since I sat in a middle seat, but I would have reached over him and shut the shutter and then looked at him like, You know we're not doing this. Like, there's an unwritten rule for those early morning, late night flights. Do not do that. Like,
If it's dark outside,
I'm
below the
sorry.
clouds, you need to shut it.
I don't care if it's your first time on the plane or whatever. I'm not going to accept you sitting there blinding everybody in the raid, ruining all this other people's trips, just so you can go, oh, a cloud. I have never seen clouds before. Get the fuck out of here.
He
Catch it
never
on your
looked out
next
the
flight.
window. As
Yeah,
far as I saw, he wasn't pulling one of those like I'm gonna stare the whole time. Wasn't that at all?
I don't
He
even
was just
mind, like, if you really feel like this is a moment that I will never have again, you snap your photo and then you shut the fucking window and you can stare at your photo for the rest of the flight. I don't give a shit. But you are not entitled to ruin everybody else's trip around you just because you feel like it. It is
No.
that. Oh my god.
everyone was just turned away. Like, how do we?
I swear to
get
God,
this-
dude. Planes are one of the public transit in general is one of the last places that you can find where people just truly forget how to act. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
mind blowing. Like on the flight to Ireland, like I told you guys about that, where the couple behind us was just being loud. It was a red eye, and the whole night they're arguing, they're talking about, and then they get drunk, and then they talk about fucking in one of the bathrooms, and they're being loud, and they're like everybody in the plane can hear you, and you're the worst. Like
The worst.
you none of the rest of us are real people around you. Like, you are not like the only person in this story. You fucking yeah. That's infuriating.
I had one other interaction that wasn't awful. It actually made me giggle more than anything, which was I was in Texas, right? And I'm going through TSA, and on the way out from Georgia, we have our digital ID like in our wallet now. So I put my Georgia license in my Apple Wallet now, so I have it on my phone, which is pretty dope. Not every state does that. So in TSA going out, and they're like, hey, put your ID in the scanner, whatever. I didn't. I just like put my phone on it, and it's the first time I had ever done it. And the lady just stood there, and like I just stood there awkwardly, and I looked down at my phone, and it's doing the Face ID thing, and it goes ting, and she's like, hey, Alex, thanks, and it showed me like, hey, this is everything we just shared with TSA. Like, it was cool. It was a cool experience. Anyway, Texas has the same machines, so we're leaving. I go, hey man, I was standing beside him. I was like, could I have used digital ID? He goes, no, we don't support it. And I go, oh, really? Like, is it something that's coming? He goes, and this is what made me go, Texas will never support it. It doesn't adhere to our laws, so we'll never do that. And I just wanted to be like, I mean, you have the machine. It's just like probably a tick box in your, and like, I get it. Maybe it doesn't adhere to a law, probably because you haven't passed Real ID. And that's the thing. Like, everybody else has Real ID.
Also,
but how can you be so? How can you just be so indignant of like Texas will never do it? It doesn't. Oh, okay,
you're like,
bro.
that's rich coming from the state that allows a child to buy a rocket launcher here.
Texas
Yes,
pride, bro.
that's- Yeah.
It was just like I just giggled to myself because I was like, you have opinions. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. But,
Neat.
yeah.
I asked a question, but that's cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you looked to see if it was a full moon Christian, but it could.
I know. You know what? I'll check for you right now.
So anyway, that's my day, not my week.
Fun.
My week wasn't much better, to be fair. But anyway, let's do what we typically do now that we've had our travel podcast.
Comment
And
corner.
Preston, what do we
Rise up
have?
at the moon
What we got
phases.
going on?
It
Yeah,
is
what we got
at
going
a
on in the
tw-
corner?
It is at a 20% crescent right now.
Yeah.
Well, then, 3 days from now, we're all gonna have a bad day. If this is 20% people, 100% is gonna be the worst.
All right, so no comments in the comment corner, but we can do the little fun thing of talking about the games coming out this month of September 2024. There's a lot of them on here. Most of them I don't know of, so I'll just kind of be quick about this and not hit every single one. We have GT Manager coming out on PC September 3rd. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. There you go,
People are
Alex.
like weirdly excited about that, and I just
If you're into Quidditch, I mean,
I don't-
maybe it's good. Who knows? It's coming to pretty much everything on September 3rd. Star Trucker come to PC on September 3rd. Age of Mythology Retold, September 4th.
Right on.
Walking past a bunch of these. What the Car on September 5th. I remember playing that at the Next Fest. It was a fun, weird fucking game. But if you're interested, take a look at it. I think I might even pick that one up. The next day, September 6th, we'll definitely be picking this one up. It's Astro Bot for the PS5. That's going to be hella fun.
I need big points on that one.
Oh, yeah, big points for you. For those who care, NBA 2K25 is coming out on September 6th. Let's see here. And one with the bullets, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, September 9th.
Blood for the Blood God.
There we go.
Man, their roadmap dropped on that, and it's like they have all the way through 4 seasons and like
sure.
all kinds of multiplayer maps and expansions and all kinds of stuff they dropped the other day.
Gotta get them Warhammer 40K fiends. Gotta get them to pay more money.
It looks pretty. No, it's all free. They announced
nice.
it. They said that whole roadmap is all free. Yeah.
Yep, all free.
All right. A little game that we covered back in the day on a different YouTube channel, me and Christian, is getting a sequel called Hive Jump 2 Survivors. Is coming out on PC September 10th.
Oh.
St. Louis local team, yeah. Putting out a sequel apparently, so apparently they did a good job. Or they know they did a good job. Apparently they made a decent amount of money in the first one. I want to do the second one. Elder Scrolls Castles for the phones coming out on 10th, whatever that is. Satisfactory also coming out on September 10th. I heard good things about that.
I think it's been in early access for a while now, so I think that's
Oh, so that's just the full 1.0. Okay. This I've heard of, don't know much about it, but there's a fun little addition to its release lineup. So this is Yars Rising. I'm assuming it's an RPG.
Yeah.
Coming out September 10th. It's coming out for all your local consoles, including the Atari VCS. It is coming out on.
Yes. Yep.
So got that.
So that is it's like a reimagining of the Yars Revenge, the famous game from Atari, and it got a lot. Yars Revenge blew up during that Atari 50 thing that released the other day, where there was just really good stories. I talked about Atari 50 that year when it came out.
Oh yeah.
It was great. But yeah, so this is them, returning to the well on Yars and bringing it back, which is cool. That's awesome.
All right. There is Celestia Chain of Fate. Again, I'm assuming RPG. September 12th. I'm just going to say this one because it sounds like a fun name. Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines is coming out on September 12th. The Jackbox Naughty Pack is coming out on September 12th. Lollipop Chainsaw.
We played plenty of Jackbox, and it always gets naughty.
It gets naughty anyways. Yeah,
this
is just purposely doing it. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop is coming out September 12th. I've never played it. I don't know if I can say I've heard good things about it, but apparently people have a thing for it.
You mean they have a thing for a cute cheerleader running around just hacking and slashing zombies? Color me shocked, internet.
Sure. And was it who was the famous director that was behind that? It wasn't James Gunn, was it?
No.
I think
no.
There was some
you're
people.
thinking of a different thing. Lollipop Chainsaw was a Suda 51 joint, I think.
But I could have swore they had a director behind it.
I think there's some pretty decent actors that played like Lollipop the girl, and then like her boyfriend that was.
Are you thinking of Zack Snyder with Sucker Punch?
What game?
I said not game. Are you thinking with Zack Snyder with Sucker Punch?
No. Chainsaw director. Yeah,
it's Suda 51.
It's Suda 51. I could have sworn it was like American.
I remember when that game dropped, and I was like, "There's nothing about this chatty little head on my side while I'm killing zombies that appeals to me."
Interactive Entertainment published the game outside of Japan, and filmmaker James Gunn had a hand in developing the game's story and characters.
Yeah, he was brought on as like a guest writer, but he wasn't the director. But also
no, but he helped develop the story, whatever. I remember they slapped his name all over that shit.
He later drew influence from it when he directed the Suicide Squad for Harley Vision.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah.
Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown comes out on the 12th. Wild Bastards also comes out on the 12th. Let's see here. Funko Fusion on the 13th.
Can I ask you a question? Do you guys know what Wild Bastards is? Do you have a picture of it, Preston?
I can. Just got a little link right here. I can
No,
pull it up.
don't do it yet. If you had to guess, what I don't know what it is either, but based on the name, what do you guys think it is? I bet you it's some sort of like game that has to do with a biker gang.
Well, I'm looking
gonna
at it, so
assume
I can tell you.
A motorcycle is in the game as well.
No, it's a colorful first-person shooter. Acid Trippy is what they call it. Roguelike shooter.
Oh, blah,
Western.
blah.
Womp womp.
The name does not match the game. Fail.
I mean, okay.
Okay, 2005.
Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PC on the 17th. If you haven't checked it out anywhere, I'm sure it will look amazing and probably break some computers, especially at that that big boss battle in the same area.
I may pick that one up.
It's really good.
That's going to be a double dip eventually for me as well.
Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is coming out on September 18th.
I heard they didn't get some of the original voice actors from that though, which sucks. But
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Frostpunk is coming out September 20th. Let's see what else we got here.
People really like that game. Although I thought Frostpunk 2 was
People love
out.
Frostpunk 1, yeah.
Yep.
We have, I feel like I've heard this one before, Dark Sky is coming out on September 24th for the PC. I had played this one back in the day. Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed. So
I played that back in the day too, on the Wii.
It wasn't the worst. It's a nice little collectathon platformer kind of deal.
No, yeah, it's a good 3D platformer.
Yep.
Yeah.
It comes out September 24th. Earth
That had Mickey. Did it have Mickey and Oswald in it? Both.
I think
Yeah.
so. Either that or
Yeah.
that might have been Epic Mickey 2 that did that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Earth Defense Force Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2 comes out on September 26th. It says on Switch, if it's anything like Earth Defense Force, I guarantee it'll run like crap on the Switch. Legends of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the one where you actually play as Zelda, comes out on September 26th. And I think
Do you
that's
think-
all I got for September.
You think that'll be confusing for people that always just think Link is
No,
Zelda?
it's because those people will all of a sudden be right now. Like, oh, it's the game we play Zelda. I'm like, yes, it is the game you play as Zelda. Thank you. Yes. But that's
I actually am
all
looking forward to that game because if
I
it's just
love that
like
art
Link to
style.
the if it's a bit like a Link to the Past, like they killed that one. So, or not a Link to the Past, a Link Between Worlds. They killed
No,
that
you're
game.
thinking Link's Adventure. Link Between Worlds is the 3DS one.
Yeah, that is correct.
Is it a Link Between Worlds?
No, it's the 3DS.
Was that the one where you went into the walls and stuff?
Yeah, that's not what this is though. That Link Between Worlds is the one where you go into the walls, but that's on the 3DS.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll need to look at the art style again. But I was going to say, I think if it's anything like that, like they've done great with their last
Link's
last
Adventure
few
is the one that
games.
they
So.
did the remake on. It's like the little clay.
Oh,
looking-
yeah. It was a little remake of the path they put on the Switch.
Oh,
yeah.
that was the recent one they did. They also did an amazing job of that too.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
squad that's doing this one.
Okay. Yeah, they did great
Yeah, it
with
does have
that
that
one
art style. So, yeah, that's the one's coming out. I'll be super excited about what the car, Astrobot, and Space Marine 2 after I finish. Space
I
Marine.
wonder if What the Car is done by the same people that did that really popular What the Golf game, like maybe a driving version
possibly.
of that.
I think
Because
but it was
What the
goofy
Golf
and
is
fun.
popular. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's the comment corner. Christian, what did you have for
have a
us?
question?
Yeah, so just like a little question to get everybody warmed up here. So we had a topic a while ago that was your like toxic gaming trait, and that was the one where we established that Alex was a snobby gamer. But I had something. We had something that, or I had something that I wanted to branch off of that and ask, what is everybody's toxic game? And what I mean by that is, what is a game that you know you don't need to be playing, or that you kind of sometimes don't even want to play, but you are always just one step away from going back to? And so, like, my example would be, or a good example that a lot of people use would be like, if you quit World of Warcraft and then you're like, oh god, I'm always just one fucking good trailer away from doing this. Mine is whenever I have not played, and it has been a long time since I have ever thought about Kingdom Hearts whatsoever. But if somebody plays that goddamn intro from Kingdom Hearts 1,
saw that.
can I tell you,
Dude, I almost downloaded it on the Steam Deck this week because I saw it in our library.
so the video. So I sent everybody the video. It was in one of our group chats on Instagram. There's this video that somebody makes, and it's going over the song from the intro of the first game. And I realize now that I am always just one step away from being like, you know what? Maybe it's time. Just because that intro is so good. Like, it has the intro to that game, the song specifically, has no business being in that video game. There was no reason for them to make a song that good, that catchy, for any reason whatsoever. And it's incredible.
I mean,
And
that first game's a banger.
Look, hey, you'll never catch me disparaging that first game. That first game rules. Yeah. But the intro is the hook. Like, when you start that game up and that intro sequence starts playing and Simple and Clean comes on, you're just like, oh, I'm in. Whatever this game's got for me, I'm in. And you're locked in for the rest of the time. And I hadn't thought about it in months. I can't even remember how long it's been since I thought about Kingdom Hearts. And then I was scrolling through Instagram, I saw that video, and I went, damn, that intro goes hard. I was like,
I do already
that
own
intro
it.
goes.
I almost downloaded it because I was going through our library the other day, and I saw that it was in there. I was like, I don't remember this being added.
Yeah, so that's mine. So now, what's yours?
I actually, just being asked this without prior thought, I actually don't know.
Let me go through mine, and then you can get some more time.
Because there are, the way I thought you were going to go with this question originally is like, there are games that make me toxic, right?
Yeah,
like Black Myth and Elden Ring and stuff like that. Like
Fall Guys, more specifically.
Yeah,
I get
that makes me toxic in a different way. Yeah, like there are games like make me say like. Allie watches me play Elden Ring or something, or even, I mean, she doesn't watch me play a bunch of Black Myth Wukong, but like, when I play this game, she just goes, I think you need to take a break. Like, you're very angry. And it's like, well, I'm not, I mean, I am. I'm also very excited, like, when I beat something. And I probably say things I don't need to say out loud, but like,
You can cool down really easy from that. It's not something that you're going to be lingering as you walk away from the game.
Yeah, I actually have an answer.
I was going to say, you smiled like you found it. You found something.
Yeah, I have an answer for this.
Okay.
And it harkens back to it tickles the fancy of the completionist in me. And there's one game, and so back when I was completing a lot of games, of course, there's one game that I platinumed that was a big platinum for me. It wasn't Monster Hunter or whatever. It was one of my personal favorite RPGs. And it has an amazing story. JRPGs has an amazing story, and I platinumed it. And there's a sequel to it that is far less beloved. And
this is a good choice.
I oftentimes look at Final Fantasy X-2 and go, well, I beat the story. All I have left to do is that expansion piece of the 100 floors of the castle. Like it's every 10 floors. Like you got to break and stuff. Like you can save and leave. Like I could go back and do that.
Pretty easy to do on the Steam Deck.
And I think that's for me. And so here's the thing you guys don't understand, right? Final Fantasy X follows me everywhere, and I don't just mean I've owned it on every platform.
Tattooed on you.
It is currently 10 and 10.2 are currently downloaded on my Steam Deck and downloaded on my PC right now. So I could click the icon at any time and just jump right in.
That's a good choice. This is a great answer for this.
I don't even have to download it. Yeah, 10.2 would be my toxic game.
That's a fantastic answer. Fantastic answer.
Yeah.
Mine are going to be Star Wars games. I mean, you can pull from them. There's a lot of good Star Wars games, but there's also a lot of bad Star Wars games. But I still like going back to them. That Bounty Hunter game, not the greatest game in the world. But I still really want to go back to it, especially with the remaster. But that's not the real answer. You guys know what the real answer is. I've quit this game recently. You know what the answer is.
What did you quit recently?
Yeah, what is a toxic game that I played that I would have quit recently, that I played a lot of?
Marvel Snap?
Yes.
Snap?
Yes. That is my toxic game. the other day,
Yep.
apparently forgot to unsubscribe from one of the guys on my YouTube, and it popped up like, "Here's my new Galactus deck. We're back to Galactus bullshit." I'm like, I can watch this for like 20 minutes. I just want to see what's up, see what they changed a little bit. I'm like, what's Goliath doing here? And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, don't do it. Just don't do it. You don't need to download that again. You can do other things with your time. You do not need to waste 5 minutes like that.
That is also a fan.
That's my
I
top
appreciate that you guys tell yourself not to download it. I have the like
Oh,
more
it's there
addictive
and
trait
waiting
of like
for you.
I have to fight my mouse away from the from the icon because it's just downloaded all the time on my computer.
That collection is installed on my Steam Deck.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you're wondering who bought it was me. I bought it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. It was up on sale at some point. Yeah. Oh no, it just got recently released on Steam. So yeah, you probably just bought when it went on there. So
I sure did.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Yep.
yeah, good question.
That's hilarious. That's a good question.
Yeah. So there we go.
We might as well throw it out there because we know we oftentimes, if anybody wants to answer, we'd love to hear everybody's answer. But we know specifically there's a couple people that like to answer us. So, like Jake Trout, go ahead and send those in because I can't wait to see Jake's.
Toxic Games.
Yeah, Toxic Games.
Yeah, that would be good ones.
I finish games all the time, and like I'll delete them off my computer because I don't need it, right? Like I beat Still Wakes the Deep, I delete it, and so on. It's like I don't know what to play, and I just always look. The very first icon
right
is
there.
it goes Final Fantasy, Baldur's Gate, Alan Wake 2, Like a Dragon, and stuff, and it's like it's just here.
Staring you
The
right
warm
in the face.
bath is right here.
The warm bath.
Get them outfits, buddy.
Yeah. Gotta get them dress fairs, son.
Girls look pretty.
Yeah. So, that is that was the little warm up there, and then I'll just go. I can go right into the
go
weeks
ahead.
here. So I beat the game that Preston wanted us all to play. So I beat 9 Souls.
Yeah.
It's a very good game. Very good game. When I finished it, I was ready to be done with it. So not through no fault of the game. The game is great, and it's honestly, it's up there with other Souls-like games for sure. Like, it definitely nails what it's going for sure. I think the story is really good too. It was
Cool story, cool kind of world that they built. Yeah.
I got the true ending, which added an extra phase onto that final boss.
Oh, shit.
I got the true ending
I
too.
did
There's
not.
3. That's
I'm off of YouTube
so I
now.
thought I didn't know the 3 phases added the true ending. So when I fought it and had 3 phases, that's when Preston you were talking about. I was like, oh boy. On
Oh,
normal,
so
like,
when
you're
I was like asking,
it's
like,
gonna be-
man, there better not be 3 phases. I only got 2 phases. I'm like, so you're
Yes,
keeping that third phase secret.
I had 3. Yeah.
Yeah, so the true ending adds the 3rd phase.
Okay.
And it really doesn't. She just adds 2 more attacks. It's really not like
Oh, sure.
that.
I mean, that's kind
It's
of
just-
what.
And
that's kinda what second
she
phase
quits
did.
she quits telegraphing a couple of things.
Yeah, and
So,
the
like,
main
it just
thing
kinda
that
pop
it's
off.
just really the 3rd phase is just the reason it's more difficult is because you're just adding in another phase on top of that already difficult fight. There's I already talked about some of my nitpicks with it. I will say that final boss, while it is really good, I think the difficulty curve there is a tad ridiculous.
Straight
Like,
up.
There's some hard
it's-
bosses in that game, but that is a special one.
Yeah, like the twins, like Alex was on when I was doing it. I did the twins my second try,
There you go.
and then the one that's before the final boss, the seer, that person, I got on my first try. Like I just
shit.
smoked him right on my first try.
I think that was the person
So-
I killed the fastest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, okay, but when you go, that final boss is definitely a step up in difficulty across anything that you've seen in that game. And I know that there's people who like that, but in my opinion, that's kind of a bummer. Like there should be a ramp that people are following throughout that whole thing. So like having something that just sort of is like a wall that you have to climb for no reason
right at
other
the
than
end.
just for difficulty's sake, I think is a little much. But in general, though, I think it's great. It's up there with I think that it comfortably sits in the same place as like Lies of P, which is like
Oh, sure.
games that you would have assumed would have been made by FromSoft if you did not know it was not made by them already. Like that's the level of quality that's there. So it's very good.
You want to know what's wild about that last fight too? Is by the time we played it, they had already patched her and knocked her damage down like 20% because I guess like it was literally impossible for like a long time. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's wild. Yeah, I did not know that.
and Preston, for you, I think the only thing you needed to do to get that true ending was the guy that wants the poison.
Oh, so you
had to
finished up your health upgrades essentially?
Finish his side quest.
Two things. You have to do all of the health upgrades, and you have to deliver all or enough of the artifacts to the child and get the things like
stuff.
It says like develop a deep relationship with the child or whatever. When you've done that, plus all the poisons, and then the quest that comes along with that, you're
That's pretty much the
you're good to
collectibles.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good game. So I did that, and then I started playing. I wanted to do something a little bit shorter because Warhammer is, as the time of this recording, Warhammer is very close to coming out. And I know that if I try to do something longer, I will immediately drop it the second that Warhammer comes out. So
I didn't realize how pretty that game looked. Like
Looks
when I
real
saw
good.
the announcement of the season stuff coming, like it looks smooth,
Incredible.
and real good.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks great. I'm very excited.
Like
I can't wait.
visually looks
Yeah.
real good. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I started playing Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. And this game is fucking rad. So this got shown off at the Summer Games Fest, or the Keeleys. And we had seen it there, and I had mentioned that it looked cool there, but that it kind of just like they went radio silent on it for the most part until it dropped. I'm gonna try to do the best way that I can to describe this game, but it's something that there's a demo on Steam and on other platforms as well. Totally worth going to check out the demo, absolutely, to see if it's for you. But so it's like a cross between like a tower defense game with like strategy elements and an action RPG like Okami. Like it's all of that stuff mixed together. So the way that it works is there's different stages that you have to go through, and some of them are like village missions, and other ones are like just straight up boss fights. But you are, for the most part, there's twists that I won't spoil that happen throughout, like that change it up mechanically to be like interesting throughout each level. But for the most part, you are given a set of villagers, and then you can change them into units that you can control, and they can be healing units, they can be ranged units, they can be close up, they can be units that slow down enemies, they can be units that attract enemies' attention and are like tanks, things like that. And you place them throughout the map, and all the while you are trying to protect this person that is like the one who's able to purify the village and seal away all of the Oni that come through. First of all the designs. I mean, you guys got to see part of the game
gorgeous.
today.
That color in that's
The art style,
Yeah.
everything, like man, they went hard. It looks great. But so the gameplay, while all that's happening, so while you're setting these things up and sort of letting those systems play out like they would in like a tower defense game, you control a person who has like full like hack and slash like action combat, like tons of different combos, all these different things that can happen, special moves and all sorts of stuff. And so you are on the front lines basically. Not only are you commanding all these things, but you're supporting them as it goes through as well. And so you can be like, okay, well, there's 2 like sub gates that opened up, so I'll send people over there to guard those while I take care of the stuff in the main gate to be able to do this. Or there's traps that you can place. There's other different things that can happen during like the build phase and all this other stuff. It's crazy, and it's something that it sounds like a lot at first until you realize how they sort of like dole it out to you, and it is really good. And at the end of each level, there is sort of like resource gathering where you are rebuilding the villages that got after you've purified them. And those improvements happen in stage time. So like if you go out and do a mission, then you'll come back, and then those repairs will be done by the time you come back. Or sometimes it takes 2 missions to get them done. and then you get bonuses and other things the more villages and stuff that you repair along your way down the mountain path to get to sort of purge the whole area. It's wild. It's really, really fun. I think I just hit like the 60% mark, if I'm not mistaken. I'm double checking. And I'm still getting new mechanics and tutorials thrown at me, like new twists on levels. Like one of the levels that I got while Alex was watching me was a completely boat level. So like you have to protect all of these boats that are strung together, and if enough monsters hit like a certain boat, they can rip it off of the raft basically, and you have to try to protect them and do all this other stuff. So it's really, really cool. It is a crazy mix of genres that I would not have expected to go together, but it works and it's awesome. And yeah, that's it. That's what I've done so far this week.
Yes, I'll go next because mine should be quick and easy. So I actually haven't had a chance to play that much. I had a busy week at work and had to travel, and it was a busy week at work. But I continued to play Black Myth Wukong before I left, and when I got home today. A little bit on the road, but again, like Steam Deck is not the best experience. I beat one boss on the road, and then it teleported me to this other area, and I was like, I can't do this on deck. It can't handle it. But it's good. I'm in Chapter 3. I've completely, like 100% completed Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I found all the secret bosses. I've done the like side quests and stuff, which are handled very much in a Souls-like manner, meaning you have to like find people. Like I went back in Chapter 2 and found an area I'd completely missed before, and in there was just like a random character. And he's like, hey, I'm feeling really drunk, I need some food. But he doesn't tell you like what to do, so you have to like find an item or just go around and keep doing the level until you bring back the right thing. And he's like, all right, well thanks, like I'll see you later at the pagoda. And you're like, oh, well, where did I find a pagoda on this level? Let's teleport over there, and boom, there he is. So they're very Souls-like missions, right? They don't have quest markers. You just have to kind of figure it out along the way. But I 100%ed 1. I 100%ed 2. I have two story bosses left in 3 before I'll be into the next chapter. And there's only 6 total. So 50%. I tell you what, man, like I still love it. It's so actiony, and like the set pieces. I fought this boss in Chapter 3 that starts off as this like woman. She has kind of like 3 different phases, if you will. Like she's this woman that you're fighting that like kind of turns into more of a godly figure halfway through, and then into a dragon, and the dragon piece is all cinematic, and it's on. They do other things in this cinematic piece to like incorporate other Chinese mythology and stuff, and man, like it's just. I'm watching it at all. Like, it's gorgeous. And then at the end of it, they add a little bit of humor with a little bit more mythology and Journey to the West story. So it's great. I can't wait to beat it. I'm not, like, it'll still take me some time, right? Because I don't have all day and all time to play. But I do find it asinine that, like, how long to beat, and other people have this game in, like, 15 hours.
Oh.
Because
yeah.
I've been playing this game, like, 20 hours. And I see people... And mind you, like, I'm trying to do everything. Like, if I make it past a chapter accidentally, I'll teleport back, and I'll go find everything in the previous chapter. So, like, I'm making it a point. But I see other people online that are posting, like, Instagram posts and other things of, like, this boss just took me a day. This boss took me 4 hours to beat. This boss took me, 5 hours. Like, no one's beating this game in 15 hours, man. Like, I don't know who turned on God mode and is able to do that, but, like, no one is doing that. But it's great. So good to them. Good power, more power to them. I don't find the lack of story a problem. I will say I watched the Journey to the West recap by like somebody from the Chinese culture that really kind of dove into it. It was like a 30-minute video. That's made a world of difference. Because
I still think it's a fair critique. I think if you're going to make you definitely did. It really assumes that you read the book yesterday before you picked the game up.
I have many critiques to this game. Yeah. It needs a map. It doesn't have a map. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like, it's just... But as a whole, the game's also really freaking good. So it's really fun and pretty to watch. And that's all I've really played. I wanted to beat Lorelei and the Laser Eyes by the time I got here, but work was so chaotic that,
Steph,
unfortunately...
She sent me a picture of her notebook.
Dude, it's
Like,
it's
damn, that's a lot of
awesome.
notes.
It's awesome. I really wanted to. I just didn't have a chance to beat it this week. I'm going to try and have a beat next week. We'll see if I'm able to. But yeah, that's all I've really done. Oh, one other thing, not gaming related. I'm continuing, as you guys know through our text messages, I'm continuing to plow through JoJo. And man, there's some upsetting episodes.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I should probably have mentioned that to you at some point. If I would have thought about it when you said you were watching JoJo, I would have warned you, but I didn't even think about it.
So like,
I mean, he does it in part one. Like, you know it's coming. Dio's a bad dude.
That season, Dio's a bad dude, right?
Yeah, but
and like
that's a special
at
kind of bad.
first, you don't really like Iggy, like the dog. Like Iggy's kind of, he only talks to himself. He's a little shit, right? You're just like, oh, okay. And they start to do little things to like win you over. He has that battle with the bird where he like loses his paw, and like he really does.
That fight's so good.
And then he really does win you over, and they kill Iggy, and that's not uncommon for TV shows. It's a dramatic moment, but like, did they need the bad guy to sit there and just be kicking, like curb stomping him, like over and over on the ground? Like, but did you though?
Yes. Because now, when I won't say, I'm not going to say anything, but when
I finished the season, so I'm now
so
on
you got to the end to the fight. Okay, great. So spoilers for part 3 of JoJo. When bad things happen to Dio, no one feels bad anymore. Like, there's never a moment. There's never a moment where Dio tries to, like, if Dio goes on his little monologue to explain of why he turned to a villain, or, you know, whatever the fuck. And every character in the series goes, I don't give a fuck. You're dead. Go fuck yourself.
But do you think, like, you let many characters go, including like Jotaro's like grandpa, like a lot of characters died in kind of brutal ways, right? Like Dio made his way back to him and continued to like take his blood, and
he's evil, man.
And like you see his grandpa like floating to the sky, and he kind of like time stops, they chat for a second. Like, it was all so dramatic. Did you need to add the dog onto it too? I don't know, but
I agree with Araki's thing, which was he makes Dio there's things like he kills Danny in the first season, right? He puts him in an incinerator. Like, it's not, and that's a brutal moment. Like, Araki, I think, had a great reasoning for it, which was the weights of those moments are not lost on him, but he's like, I had to come up with something that made it so that the villain was in no way ever going to be redeemable, because people do that way too often, where they go, oh, here's the sympathetic villain, where they go, oh, you can see it from his point of view, and no, fuck that. Dio's evil. He is evil incarnate, and no one will ever question that going forward. Everyone will be like, nah, fuck him. And in the future, if Dio ever gets mentioned again, and everyone goes, oh, fuck him, and fuck anybody related to him, and fuck anything that has to do with him. Like, that's no.
So the other thing about this show that cracks me up is, like, many shows have names that don't really say what the show is, right? And this show's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and boy, at times, is it
a bizarre adventure.
Bizarre. Dude, I laughed so hard at one point. I was like, I can never let Allie walk in and see me watching this show, because if she catches it at the wrong part, it's not sexual, it's nothing like that, but and it's just like, oh my god, dude, it was so funny. And, dude, like, there was like a day later, I made Allie, I was like, you have to see this. I'm like, this is the most insane thing. And it zooms in on the cherry, and I watched, I had it for her, I had it on the dubbed one, and literally the guy goes, lick, 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 and it goes, and you're just like, what is going on? But there's that, and then I did watch the first season of the first episode of the next season, where we meet what is the new character's name after Jotaro, the guy with the hair.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Josuke?
I forget his name. I think it might be
Yosuke. That's what it is. That is what it is. Yosuke.
Yosuke. Yeah.
Again, with the bizarre thing where the people are making fun of him, and he's like,
fucking.
he's like, I don't want to touch the turtle. I don't want to touch this turtle, this poor turtle, like reptiles and blah blah. And they're like, oh, you idiot with your hair. And he's just like, wait, I'm sorry, come again. Who said what about my hair? And he just like Samson's out and just rocks this dude. I'm like, then he has this purple pompadour. It's just, it's wild.
I love it. Yeah,
one of the
Part 4 is
best
great.
Outro songs of the entire series.
So wild.
Yeah. Well, until you get to part 5, and then you guys haven't been there, but I spoiled it for you about
I've been
it's
through
the
most of
R&B
it,
one.
a good chunk of it.
No, you only
one.
been through part 4. You haven't been through part 5 yet.
With the girl in prison?
No, that's the newest one. Part 6. That's part 6. Part 5
I've been through part 5.
is
I must have been, 'cause I thought I was
Did
following
you?
them in order, yeah.
yeah. Part 5 is the one with the blonde-haired kid.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's the one that has the best outro theme,
With
which
the
is the
Jodeci?
Bone Thugs and Harmony one.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Jodeci. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still going. We're making our way through it. Show's bonkers.
Yeah,
it's just
great.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it makes you like, it is so ridiculous that it makes you feel things in ways you don't expect. Like, I mean, really, I don't even know how to explain this episode other than the way to explain it, which is like, in this past season, one of the characters gets turned into a baby. And like a child, he starts losing his life force. And then this woman sees this poor child being beat up in the street. And she's like, let me take you home and get you cleaned up. She's like, hop in the bath. And of course, he has like a man's mind in this child's body. Is like flirting with this woman. And then she gets turned into a baby, like a fetus. And then they defeat the enemy and turn back into their normal age selves. And she's like, hey, I see you on the street. Were you this child? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like lost love. They just walk away from each other. This is so ridiculous.
Man, JoJo. So what's so funny is the evolution of stands in that show, and you'll start to see it more now that part 4 is on you. But it's like they get so weird. The stands become so weird in that show, where it's like this person has a stand that like when you hear it just as its power, you're like, that would never do anything. And then this person spent every waking moment of their life figuring out the exact circumstance in which that stand would be like unbeatable.
Yeah.
And so you'll be like, it's really smartly written in a lot of ways, and you see some of it in part 3 too, but it really comes out in part 4. But these, like, some of these people will contrive these crazy ass scenarios so that their stand all of a sudden might as well be God. And you're just like, when it starts, you're just like, oh my, like, how did you think of it? Like, it's just, how are you going to get out of this kind of thing? It's crazy.
You can tell they're putting all of their thought process into these situations and not the names, because the names crack me up with like Hierophant Green and other things as like names. And then you get to Dio and he's like, the world. And you're like, really,
well, so the
Dio?
thing is for some
Really?
for some of it, you're losing if you're not watching it the subbed version.
Sure.
Because some of it gets lost in translation, but the subbed version has like the direct names, which is Araki tries to, as much as he can, he tries to name all of the stands after some sort of Americana sort of like thing that he likes, like music and stuff.
And he does that with all the characters too, right? Like with their names and stuff. Yeah.
So he does a ton of stuff, but yeah, it's so good. I will say, since you finished part 3, that fight at the end where I don't know how they handle it in the dubbed, but when Dio throws the road roller at him, and
he's just,
the subbed version of it is so fucking funny when he's counting down and then
he does a couple times. He's like talking. Yeah. He's talking to Jotaro. He's like also counting up at one point. He's like 5, and then he's like, right now you're trying to think, oh, I wasted my 2 seconds. He's like 6. I've now gone further than I've ever gone before. And he's like, what could you possibly be thinking? 7. Is my power unlimited? Like, also, dude, it's been like 37 seconds, so I don't know why you're counting so slow. Like, this is... Yeah.
It's great. It's so good.
Ridiculous. It is good. But anyway, we're getting there. just so many episodes. Like
There is. It's a lot.
that last part, I guess part 3, had 48 episodes.
It's the longest one. They won't ever go that long again.
Okay, yeah, it was long. So anyway, that's my week. That's what I did.
Well, I beat Mini Shoot Adventure. It's really good. Under 10 hours. Like I mentioned before, it's pretty much Zelda, but a top-down shooter. I had a lot of fun with it. I was doing really good. I think I had to look up one thing once. There's 4 dungeons essentially you get through. You all get like a little big purple skull for each one, and it fills up this door. And you can't get to that door, but it gives you a marker of how to get there. That being said, that marker is just a purple skull, which is right next to, if you look at your map, one of the dungeons that you already beat. So I'm like, okay, well, did I miss something in this dungeon? So I'm going to this dungeon, looking around, I can't find anything. Like, what the fuck? Fuck this. Like, going to YouTube. Just below that dungeon, just out of sight on the screen, is another little doorway area to where you can go down under and in, and it takes you somewhere else to get you closer to that area. So it was trying to tell me where to go, but it wasn't doing the greatest job in the world. This is probably going to be also one of those things to where it's just like the mini map is not the greatest. So like you get to see where you're at on the map. There's not a whole lot of icons to it, but you really don't need that many. But when you go into a dungeon, there's no dungeon map. So there's no way of telling, okay, well, am I missing a section over here? Or, well, do I need to go over there? You're in the dungeon. Okay, you pull up the map, it says it can't find you because you're in a dungeon. I'm like, well, at least put me on the dungeon icon. But honestly, that's probably the only thing I would say against it, other than like it does get it can get very bullet hellish for you. But you can also turn it down to where it's the settings in there don't make the bosses like hurt you less, but it slows everything down. And for bullet hell, that is very nice. Gives you time to think, gives you time to move around bullets and stuff. So, great game. Like I said, very short, but it was super worth it. If you're interested in a top-down shooter that's playing like Zelda, definitely worth it. Christian did lie. He did play another game. We played some Diablo 4, and he got...
I just wasn't... We played it before. We talked about this season already.
Yeah, so he got his character all the way up to 100, and we were playing last night. I'm like, oh, I'm up at the level 24 now. He's like, well, come in with me. We'll help you up power level. And we figured out a way to power level to where I went from 24 to 52 in probably about like an hour and a half. So
I thought you finished at 56.
Yeah, 56, and we did that in about an hour and a half. So it was just, he was going into like nightmare dungeons, and I just had my character behind him. I don't have time to swing or anything yet because he is just mowing these dudes down with this like wave of fireballs. And Alex, literally, you're just watching the XP mirrors go boom, 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 boom. The beginning, it was insanely how fast, but like even so, like even like around level 40, it's like, okay, we're gonna go to the dungeon. I'm like, okay, well, I just got 5 levels in like the past like 15 minutes, and you're just watching that thing's like fucking skyrocket. So now I got to this section towards like the horde mode type of deal, which I'm gonna go into and get my level up there too as well. Run the barbarian. I switched it over to the whirlwind build. So I don't have a basic attack. I gotta get my fury up so that way my dumb barbarian can just swing his ass around in circles and take everything down around him, which is very fun and it works out very well. I'm still playing Zolas End Zero. It's a nice little touchy touch game. Nothing really to bring back to here other than I'm still enjoying it. Almost finished. I'm on the last chapter 3 of this actual story. So I'm gonna get the end content here pretty soon. And then I also have been playing KOTOR like usual every Sunday. On twitch.tv/testingroompod.
Being too nice to Karth as usual.
Well, I mean, I'm not being super mean, but they got to a point. So I thought we were going to go to the DLC station near Yavin to go do some shopping, and then I was going to go to Banan to finish up the last level to get the last star map. I forgot that after you finish the second to the last level, get the second to last star map, the Leviathan stops you wherever you decide to go, which is that big giant ship that just fucking went into Taurus and just destroyed it all. So like, okay, well, we're doing this today then. So I went through all that. There was something that you would get from a Rodian in the jail cell. It's called an icebreaker. It's supposed to be able to like fully get something into like a computer. It said it's for the brig. For some reason, my brain, I don't know if it was morning brain or what, but my brain kept saying bridge. It's for the bridge. So I get all the way up to the bridge, get through the whole story point and everything, and we go into there, and it's not working. And there's a computer there. There's a computer there. You're supposed to do it to open the hangar bay so you can get out of there. And there's a second option to say, like, hey, change the course of this ship to something else. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is what the icebreaker thing does. It says, no, you can't do it. I'm like, oh, well, fuck. I'm like, then what the fuck am I supposed to do with this thing? I'm like, no, I want to figure out. I got the icebreaker. I want to know what it does. I look it up. I give you 99 spikes, which are the little parts you use to hack computers. Mm-hmm. And like, I have like 30 now because I don't hack a whole lot. But that was 30 over like multiple planets. So like 99 is a substantial amount of those spikes. You will not need to get spikes ever again. And I'm like, fuck, well, I don't want that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bridge, it says the bridge. And I shit you not, I'm doing the editing and I'm looking, I read the description, it says brig right there. And I keep on saying bridge. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with my brain. So my fun edit for that YouTube video was me just flashing the text brig every time I said bridge. And we finally got it. We got the 99 fucking spikes. Went through there. We got the twist. Still one of the best twists in all video games, even though I already know it. But you know, it's there. And to be fair, I wasn't being super nice to Karth. It just the game wouldn't let me be as mean as I wanted to Karth at a certain point because he's like, "Well, fuck this. Everybody's been lying to me. You know this and that." I'm like, "You can go. There's an escape pod right on this ship. Just fucking go." And I didn't have an option to tell him to leave. I wanted to tell him to leave. Because I don't care, because I've never put him in my party anyways. And he's just got a big, dumb, stupid visor on that I put on him because it looks dumb. And he just complains all the time. Like, then fucking go. So any chance that he wants to go, I will let him go. But he hasn't given me the opportunity to let him go.
There were some times, though, where there was an option in a dialogue that was way meaner, and you chose usually like the middle of the road one.
Well, we are doing gray Jedi, right? We're not doing dark side, so I'm not trying to be just pure mean out of mean hatred. But if he wants to act like a bitch, he can fucking leave then.
Well, I think the gray thing would be being nice to everybody except
That's
Karth.
not how that works. No.
Yeah,
no,
because you get good points from being nice to
everybody.
everybody.
You would have to do half and
points,
half, but no, that's not what we're doing.
I don't think gray is. I don't think that's the point of gray.
Well, my Jedi is gray, so apparently I'm doing it right. Just saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other than that, I'm just I haven't started really anything new up. Just been kind of dabbling in D4 and Zoneless because I'm getting ready for Outlaws, which comes out tomorrow. Which I am fully prepared to be disappointed in, but we'll see how it goes. I got real excited because like at the beginning of the week, I'm like I saw some reviews pop up. Like, oh, let's just see what people think of it. And it's people like really like. I'm like, oh, it's a great Star Wars universe. Blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, shit. Is this game gonna actually be good? And then like someone like Kind of Funny comes out and they're all giving it like 4 out of 10s and shit like that. I'm like, oh god. And then it's been a mixed bag of reviews. I'm like, okay, we'll just chalk it up to it's a Ubisoft game. It's not going to be the greatest Star Wars game in the world. It'll probably look a little pretty, and that'll be probably about it. Tune in next week. I'll let you know how I feel. So I'm still going to play the damn game. So, but yeah, that's my week.
Nice. Well, with that, we're in week number 1, part number 1 of our of Christian's game. So Christian,
yay,
it's all yours.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. If you are looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order.
Let's do it. Yeah. So, just a reminder, we were playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Yep. The first one here. This was a PS3, Xbox 360 joint, and it feels like it. It definitely has that look. The nice brown color palette that all the games had from that generation is in full display here. But I will say we're all playing on the PC version. I do think the PC version definitely helps not have it feel as old as it is. Like,
things keep up.
It's very pretty.
That, and like I was saying, like when you kick the graphic settings all the way up, it does improve it quite a bit. There is like if you look back at old footage on the 360 and stuff like that, it looks way worse than the version of the game that we're playing here. So it is nice that we do have that, but it definitely still, you're like, yep, this is a 360 era game. Like you just it's all over the place. But so this game opens on a cogitator, which is like the computer thing there at the screen, and it basically says that it's detected a Xenos invasion on the planet, and there's some options that go back and forth of how they what they kind of want to do to handle the invasion there, and they settle on it's time to send in the Ultramarines to deal with all of the heresy on this planet. And so chapter 1 is the Ultramarines, the space they land. We have Captain Titus, Sidonis, and then Leandros. Titus is the main character that we're playing as. Leandros is the rookie, and then Sidonis is like the grumpy sort of old vet that is with the squad here. And everybody gets separated, but first, when you first land, you are Titus lands on one of the orc ships, and it's basically the tutorial. Chapter 1 is literally just the tutorial. It's just teaching you
you go in there very like, was it like a Halo 2 fashion, just like you just dropped off a ship,
so
you're
I
just kind of hell diving into it.
Yeah, so I put on a thing that we're basically pulling a Master Chief here, which for the Halo 2 thing where he puts the bomb in the Covenant ship and then jumps out and lands on the planet. This is basically what happens here. The best part about it, though, is that the orcs absolutely could have stopped this from happening, but the orc mind could not comprehend not stopping firing the gun.
Yep.
And so when Titus grabs the back of the gun, he starts turning it towards the ship, and all that they would have to do is let their fingers off the trigger, but they couldn't do that, and so they fire into their own ship, and the ship goes down, and Titus lands on the planet there, and your first goal is to link back up with the rest of the squad. And so you're going through fighting things, and as you're fighting through here, we find our first servo skull. You can find it. There's like a little hidden area back there. I wanted to give a little fun fact about servo skulls that you might not know, which is that those are still real people. So servo skulls are basically anybody who has succumbed to heresy in some sort of way, and this is the punishment that they're given, but this is still the way that they can serve the Emperor by basically having every single function of their body removed.
Except their head and little floating neck.
Yep, and it's just your skull basically, and then the brains inside. Like there's some machine god tomfoolery happening there, but really, the fact of the matter is that they put the person's head, and you become a giant voice box and a message recorder, and that is your life for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, thanks. I hate it.
Yeah. It is, so when I was playing through Rogue Trader, it was one of the things where there's a character that you can, an NPC, but through various things, they can get turned into a servo skull, and it is just as depressing as you would think it'd be when somebody finds out that that's their family member that's just floating in front of them talking now. Woof.
I bet.
But yeah, so... but those are servo skulls. But the game obviously it doesn't really go into that.
So, do those servo skulls? Okay, quick history lesson here, right?
Lore.
The lore lesson, right? The Space Marines.
I'm not a lore expert, so I'll try to answer as best I can.
The Space Marines rule everything because, like, you're talking about, they're fighting heresy. Right, and what they deem to be heresy,
the
and the
Space
servo
Marines
skulls
are just the military arm of the Emperor.
Okay, and the servo skulls are like
one of the military arms of the Emperor.
Gotcha. Okay, so there is an empire that rules over a lot of this, and then every other faction is its own. Like, do they own area? They're vying for their own empire, or are they being like, is the Lord just they're being hunted down by the empire?
Yeah, I mean, like, so in the universe is vast, right? So like it's huge. Like, there's plenty. everybody is hailing from a planet. So like we're hailing from, they call it Terra, Earth, all the other things. But
Sure.
the Empire is over all of humanity.
Okay.
Now there are some obviously rogue humans that decide they don't want to be part of the Empire and blah blah blah. Whatever.
Heretics.
But for the most part, they can be, yes. Sometimes they would just be like pirates or whatever. Like they would just be criminals. But yes,
In the
heresy
eyes of
for sure.
Emperor. Yeah.
But that is just, the Empire is just humanity, like just across the board.
Got it.
And then there's like the Xenos, and then there's the Tyranids, and there's the Orcs, and then there's like just like the General of the Void. I mean, there's tons of factions. I can't even. Yeah, like that's when you walk into like a game shop, like a physical game shop, and you see the whole wall of Warhammer.
Oh,
shit.
I went to one in Japan. It was massive. Like I had no idea how big it was.
Yeah, Warhammer's huge. So there's more factions than I'll ever know, than we'll ever know. But yes, the Empire is just humanity. Period.
Okay.
And the Ultramarines or the Space Marines are just a faction of the military arm of the Empire. So there's also the Inquisition, which we'll talk about here in a little bit because we get just introduced to one of those characters.
We do, yeah.
There is all sorts of stuff. There's not to plug the other game, but there's the Rogue Traders that are part of that as well. There's a whole thing, right? So, to be abundantly clear, if it was not clear before, I am not a Warhammer expert. I have just played 2 more games than these 2 guys. That's literally it.
But
so
right now
I am a Warhammer admirer, and I think it's very cool. This is the only way that I can interact with this through video games.
I think you should act as expert and just talk confidently about everything as if you know it.
Certainly not going to do that.
Only for this playthrough. So this story so far is like it did seem like we were on Earth, right? Terra, right?
No,
like
we are not on Terra. We're on a colony world.
We're on a colony world. Okay, but it's human influenced, right? Like it is a human influenced. Yes.
Yeah, the Empire does run this planet. Yes.
Yes. So when we meet this, have the orcs just decided they are trying to take over our territory and attacking these worlds, or where do we find ourselves in this battle with the orcs?
Yeah, so the orcs will regularly ransack other worlds to try to steal, break down, and take technology, scrap, all that other stuff for themselves. This particular planet is where we are building the Titan war machines, and that is why the orcs want to hear is that they want to take all of that for themselves and take all of the tech for themselves.
Got it.
So they're here to loot the planet essentially. But yeah, so as we go through that chapter, the game is teaching you more about the combat and different things and giving you some new abilities. But in the middle of that, we find Leandros, and he continues to be a wet blanket, where he whines to Titus about how Titus was not supposed to use the jump packs to slam into that ship and then crash it down on the planet. He said that it's in the Codex Astartes, it's against the rules, which is essentially the Codex Astartes is the sort of governing rule set that the Ultramarines live their life by, or the Space Marines live their life by.
Our character did not give an F. He was just like, maybe
no,
you should...
Titus actually lets him know very quickly and goes, you are no longer a child, so why are you still interpreting these rules so narrowly? And he was like, they're supposed to be our guiding principles. He was like, yes.
Guiding, keyword.
But there's plenty of things, like, you can interpret them in many... And as you start to go through the world, you'll notice that maybe some of those things weren't as you thought they were. And so he hands him his helmet back, like, just fucking shut up.
Can I say that part to me? Only knowing what I've learned from you, the expert on all things World of Warcraft.
Not World of
Warhammer.
Okay.
Warhammer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Warhammer. So only talking to you, the expert on this world of Warhammer, right? 40K. I found that interesting because you said the words, how do we feel about heresy? And we're out here destroying heresy. And that seemed a little like heresy to me.
No, so you actually, there's a faction that might have interpreted backtalk as a road that can lead to heresy.
Yeah.
That faction I don't believe is in this game, but you
Okay.
might like them. So heresy is exclusively, to my knowledge, anything that can lead to or has to deal with the void. So the void is like, think of it as like the dark magic, demon magic of the world. Anything that has to deal with hell, essentially, things like that. So a good example is like anything that you think might lead to Doom happening, like the game Doom, like, you know, like when he is in hell.
Open the portal of hell, sure.
Anything that you think might lead to that would be heresy, and anything that has to do with that or anything around that is heresy.
Gotcha.
Except
throwing out your rule book, flipping the bird, grabbing a cigar, maybe taking some shots, like none of that is heresy, because we're still bringing righteousness to the colony.
That's
planets.
a fact. That's a fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fact. Yes.
All right.
Again, there are certain factions that might consider backtalk as a road that could lead to heretical behavior. If you don't respect authority, then it would lead you to make horrible decisions, which could lead you to communicating with the void, which means your whole planet should be glassed. But that's not what we're dealing with here. But yeah, so as we are going through, we talk to Leandros, and he has a comment where they say that there's only been a handful of soldiers here, Imperial Guards, but they've survived against 1 million orcs for a very long time. And they both, Titus and everybody thinks that something sounds weird here, and that it doesn't make any sense why they should have survived this long. But they're going to figure that out. First thing they're going to do is go find Sidonis, and then they're going to go find this new lieutenant who seems to have controlled all of this and kept everybody. So there's one of the Imperial Guards that goes, he asked him, he was like, just to be quite honest, how have you guys survived so long? And he was like, we wouldn't have if it wasn't for the lieutenant. And so he's like, oh, well, now it's time to meet this lieutenant. Like, we've got to figure out what's going on here. So we meet up with Sidonis and then go and find the lieutenant. And she basically catches us up with what's going on and heads us towards the planetary gun, which is one of the main defenses that the orcs have taken over, that is stopping all of the reinforcements from getting to the planet. It's what was shooting our ship at the beginning of the game. And when they ask her how she was able to come, like how she is the highest ranking individual that's still left alive, and it's because she was like, well, everybody else died. So it's only me. I've got no choice. I have to lead because I'm the highest ranking person here. So everybody else got smoked by the orcs, it seems. So we fight our way all the way to the planetary gun, where we find a breach in its walls, and we use that to infiltrate it. And that takes us to Chapter 3. I'll do this similar to how we did with Ace Combat,
Sure.
because story-wise, it's very
pretty linear.
minimal.
Yeah.
So we'll just go through it, and then we'll talk about how everybody felt about it afterwards. So Chapter 3 opens. We're in the armory, and at this point, we basically have our full arsenal, more or less, as far as weapons and stuff. There's some extra add-ons that we get later, but for the most part, we have our melee weapon, and then 3 to 4 guns that we're going to be using throughout there. And on top of that, while we're in this little armory room, we find a Melta-Charge, which is essentially just a bomb. And Leandros has the idea of slapping it against one of the rounds for the planetary gun, and then having it load itself into the gun and detonating it so that the planetary gun can go away, because they all comment that by the time they've gotten into the arsenal, or the planetary gun's base, it could take weeks to comb through here and exterminate every single orc that's in here. Like it'll take us way too long.
Come on, like grounded and shit.
So
Yeah,
and so Titus is like, well, we'll just blow the fucking thing up so they can't use it anymore. Or Leandro says, we'll just blow it up so we can't use it anymore. So you load the Melta-Charge onto the shell, and it starts making its way up, and then you guys are basically following your way all the way up to the main level, where it loads in to make sure that nothing, no funny business happens with the shell on its way up. And lo and behold, some funny business does happen, and the orcs pull the shell out, and they're trying to disable the Melta-Charge, and that would be just not good business. So we kill all of them, shove the shell back into what's going. And I put in here that the orcs try to be tricky and pull out the shell to be sabotaged. So we simply just kill them all and place it back in, and then ran out to a cool explosion sequence. Because that's what happens. We push it back in, and then everyone goes, "All right, we got to get out of here." And so we run, and it's the action movie thing where you're running out the door, and then it explodes behind you. Except the melted charge, what they explain is that how powerful that shell is, or that charge is. It completely creates a sinkhole where that planetary gun was at. When it zooms out, the gun like falls into the ground. So that would have been a bad day if you'd have been caught inside that. So it's a really quick way to make sure that nobody survives in that area. It's done so. So this takes us to chapter 4, and we are running along through here, and we realize that now, after we tell the lieutenant, hey, the gun's offline, you're going to get all your reinforcements now, no worries there. But we're here to make sure that nothing happens to any of the Titan war machines, so we have to go there right now. And they're like, okay, well, you can head there. We sent some people out there before, but we haven't heard from them still. But you can follow the train tracks like all the way there, and it'll take you to that facility. And right when we finish having that conversation, the orcs have built a train that'll basically be a giant battering ram that they're going to run at full speed. They painted red so it will go faster. That's something, by the way, I told Alex this, but I personally realized I didn't get to tell you this fun piece of lore. So the orcs are capable of what is called like thought magic, where
Yep, I'm aware of this.
if they
I played a D&D game.
so if they believe something fast, like strong enough, it will come true. So when you paint things red, it makes it stronger, faster, and just everything. It's just
That's why their
it's
ships
just
have
the
red
better.
on it. Yep.
Yep. So their ships have red on it. This train has red on it. Some of the, if you notice when we're fighting some of these elite enemies that come through,
Red.
all of their armor is painted red, and it makes their eyes turn red, and they go berserk mode.
Yep.
That's the orc way. It's fantastic. Anyway, so they created a battering ram that they're going to try to slam into this thing, and so we go, well, that's certainly not going to happen. So we board the train, and to stop it, we slam a ship into it. So as you fight your way through the train, you realize that you're not going to make it in time. So what you do is grab a plasma cannon and shoot at a ship, like a drop ship that's hovering above it, and make it crash into the train so that you can stop the train. So we end that, and we have found ourselves in Chapter 5 now, which is we're outside of the Titan War Machine facility. And so we start making our way to secure those bad boys. And as we walk into the outside sort of area, we find a servo skull that has the symbol of the Inquisition on it. So the Inquisition is essentially like the Empire's secret police. So they go around, and you're glaring at it, but I promise you, it is as bad. I mean that comparison with every fiber of my being.
They're the SS.
Yes.
Okay. I like you said it. I was like, I feel like I've learned about this at some point in the history classes.
Yes. Yeah. That is exactly what they're like. They go and make sure that everything is going according to the Emperor's will, and if it's not, they will either handle it themselves or they will tattletale, and other people will come handle it for them in an very extreme way. But this particular servo skull belongs to a Mr. Drogon, and he is requesting help because not only was he here, but he was working on an experimental weapon that was being hidden inside this facility, and he is requesting help and backup with this process, because even though the orcs don't know it, this weapon is being hidden inside the same facility as the Titan war machines, and he's under the impression that if the orcs get their hands on this weapon, it could be very bad for humanity, very, very bad. So we go, well, we'll handle that as we come across it. And so we make our way into the Manufactorum, where all of these, where the Titan machines are being built. And we find some Imperial guards who have held the line since they got here. So this is the ones that the lieutenant sent a while ago. They just haven't had a chance to radio in. We let them know that the lieutenant, like, we took down the gun, so everything is good. Your lieutenant is requesting you guys, contact her. You guys can go back. We also ask about the Inquisitor, and they said that it's been several. They did see him, and they know of him, but it's been several days since they've last seen him. So we don't know what the hell is going on there. So our next mission is to confirm the safety of the Titans and make sure that they're untouched, while also going to find this Inquisitor and see what's going on. And that is the first 5 chapters of the game.
Yeah.
So I'll end. But how did you guys feel about the opening here to Warhammer 40K?
It's good.
Space Marine.
It's definitely got that epic grandness that I kind of was hoping to get out of this. I was kind of worried that they may get like a little too small at first. I'm like, no, these are giant fucking Space Marines. Like, it's...
So they do... I will say...
They don't look as big as the video that you showed me.
Yeah, so I was going to say this. So the one thing that they did, and it's a choice, and you'll notice that in the game that's coming out, it does not have this problem, but I think it's just a sign of the time. So in Warhammer, typically Space Marines are like a full person bigger than a regular human. Mm-hmm. Now, I think it would look very silly back then, right? To have, especially on that kind of scale where you're trying to have them fight orcs and other things like that. It would look very silly to be like, oh, these things will be giant, and these humans, like regular Imperial agents that are fighting, will only come up to like their waist or something like that. And so it doesn't. They don't portray the size just right, but in general, the general like attitude and everything is still on point.
Yeah.
Like, it's very...
And the fact that you start off with jumping
yeah.
out of a ship, onto a ship, crash that ship into the planet to get down to there. It's like, all right, you're giving me that epic like size and that like scale.
Dude, and
for
all the
a PS3
execution
game.
moves are... All the execution moves are crazy. Like, they are just... full on, no mercy. Like, I'm stomping people's head. I'm cutting them.
And is this like one of the first games that does like the whole like use a finishing move to get health back? Like, this is very like the only like game I can think of is like the new Doom game. And this is before
God of War did that.
God of War,
okay.
yeah. I think they took it from
yeah.
the original God of War games. But yes, it is. But this one's brutal. Right? Like, there's certain executions where like he takes the chainsaw sword, shoves it through somebody, and just like revs it up until the body explodes, and then like goes off. Like, it's something. Yeah. So, yeah.
Nope, I like the mechanics. I like the overall story. I mean, we're not getting too much right now, but I can kind of see where it's going, and I'm down for it.
I don't know where it's going yet, to be honest. Like, I feel like if it's just we're beating orcs, that's too straightforward. Like, there's got to be a twist. There's got to be something coming. So I'm excited.
It is the very beginning of the game,
right?
So yeah,
no, that's what I mean. So but I don't know where it's going. So I think it's going to be interesting. I agree with Preston. Like, it has a lot of scale, and like the world is big. Like, at one point you look out the window and they're like, look at that bridge, and they're like, that bridge is just like the epitome of the grandness of the Empire. Like, that whole thing standing just shows like how important the Empire is, and it's just massive, right? So they do a good job at that. The mechanics are good. There's some things that you can feel ripped right out of God of War, and it's just a product of the time, right? Yeah. When you stomp somebody and the little green orbs are like fly into your body, right? Or like you rip something in half, and like it feels right out of God of War. It feels fine, but like you felt that before. The only thing I don't love mechanically is running feels a little clunky.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's a lot of empty space too. It's like, okay, I'm suddenly running down like 3 or 4 hallways and nothing's happening. I'm like, it's fine.
I blame that on the time.
Yeah,
right.
No, of course, of course, but
because there is like when they give
it's still fair for sure.
Yeah, because they're orcs though. Like when they give you orcs, they're just like, here's all the orcs. Like here's they just keep coming.
You can kind of see what ends up being the precursor for this next, like when they start using the Tyranids. Like, so in the next game, right, like you've seen some of the footage where it's the Tyranids you're fighting, but like there's like a swarm, like it's like waves of all these things, and you can there's some combat sections in this which it's not like a crazy amount because of the times, and it had to be on a PS3 and a 360.
Yeah.
But there was one of them I died in because there was just so many things coming. Like I can't control what I'm doing. Like I got a big thing I'm swinging. I should be hitting most things, but like there's just so many on top of me. I can't.
There's a ton of orcs and goblins. Like at a certain point where
happen.
there's like so many that like you can see the idea there that it just gets built on as the tech gets better. But
I died a few times, and it's mostly to the way like I was playing. Like there would be some areas where I liked the execution, so it's like I'm just gonna literally like Y button stun you and like execute, and I'm just surrounded, and I'm just like mashing the Y button, is like elbowing and stunning people, and just executing
while you're doing those.
But you'll get hit, yeah, you'll die. But there's also been plenty of times where I'm just doing the normal attacking, and like it's just like me and the big berserker, and we're just going toe to toe, just swinging,
Yeah.
and I get my health down to like the tiniest sliver, and it's like execution, and I'm just like, right, and do it, and then all of a sudden your health's back to full, and you're like, oh, thank goodness, like that was close. The guns I like. I've moved between them. I don't love the pistol, the one they start you with. Like as soon as I got something other than the pistol, I've yet to go back to it. But I like the fast shooting gun, and I like the sniper. I use a sniper constantly. Like
I use.
So can I say, I love the weapon designs in Warhammer, especially
big
ones that are
chunky
Space Marines, because they're so used to the bolter. Like the bolter rifle is the staple weapon of the Space Marine, and
whole
so
game
it's so
called
funny
bolt
with the
gun.
sniper rifle. They're like, it's a bolter rifle, but with a tad little bit of a longer muzzle and then a scope. Other than that, it's the same fucking gun. Like it's so.
What I end up doing with the guns is like I always went into the combat starting off the pistol. Like, okay, this is going to be like my little extra ammo. So that way, as soon as I run out of ammo, I'm not reloading that gun. I'm switching immediately to the assault rifle or whatever. So like, okay, go in there, take up a couple of them, and put that pistol away for the rest of the whole combat situation. Because you're right, it doesn't shoot fast enough to take down crowds. So you can take down one or two people. It's not insanely accurate enough for you to like have it replaced with a sniper rifle, because anytime I see something at a distance, I'm automatically whipping out that sniper rifle and using that. So other than that, you have the assault rifle, which is your mainstay, and then you have the what do they call it? It's not a grenade launcher, but it's like a metal explosive.
It's basically
thing.
No, it's basically a sticky grenade launcher.
Yeah, it sticks to metal and everything is metal. So
yeah.
I do the opposite. Like I do what you're doing, but like I'll start off with a sniper because I get some headshots and like insta kills, and then I'll switch over. I enjoyed the chainsaw. I also like the axe. I think the axe is what I have now. I find it criminal that they gave you this dope jetpack ability to like ground pound, and then they took it away from me. Like that should have just been like something I get now to take around.
There will be other levels where you get the jump pack back. Yeah, there's certain setups for the jump pack. But
the jump pack was good. The only real complaint I have about the game, beyond like the running is clunky to me, is
you
that
are in like 40-ton armor. But yeah,
sure, but I think it's more the time and less of the armor. The other thing is just I don't love, and I don't use it often, but I don't love the UI. So like I found a lot of those little servo skulls. But I had to ask Christian, like, I'm confused. Like, how many do I have? How many are in this place? Like, it says 1 of 5. And I found 5, but, like, what the hell is going on? So the interface is weird when you're trying to see your audio logs and listen to the story. But the game is fun. The game looks pretty.
Do you guys have issues with the audio on those logs? Because mine was, like, super fucking quiet. Like, I'd press play on them, and I just had a hard... It could have been just and I messed with the settings, maybe. Or maybe it's like trying to think it's surround sound, but I don't have surround sound. I don't know. I have to check my audio settings, but I just noticed that I couldn't hear them.
It was okay.
I didn't have any issues with it. The main thing with the audio logs is it's so weird how they did it, but they break it out by stories and not by levels. So it won't be like if there's 5 servo skulls in a level, it won't say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might say like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 because they're the first one in 5 separate stories.
But they all say 1 of 5, which is insane.
Yeah. And so then you might be like, oh, okay. And then the next level, you can be going. It'll say like 2 of 5, but it'll be because that's the second one in that story of 5. I look, to my knowledge, I don't remember, but for the most part, all of those servo skulls are pointless information. It's just extra
world building.
So, but none of it is actual lore. Like you're not getting extra Warhammer lore there. It's just like here's a conversation between the lieutenant and somebody else, and you're like, okay, it doesn't matter. But
I enjoyed the cinematic, the one cinematic scene that we had. Not like cutscene, but like the cinematic fighting scene, which was shooting at the dropship.
Yeah.
That was very scripted. Like that, I enjoyed that. That looks cool. And again, because of whatever update they've given us on PC, fidelity wise and graphic wise, like that dropship looked great in the shooting.
Yeah.
And like when you rip the thing off and you're shooting the electric cannon at it, like it was cool. It looked good.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I still like it. It's one of those things where it was the first time that I had been introduced to Warhammer, so I didn't know what Warhammer was before this. But everything about this art and the way they design these characters and just everything about it, it gets me. The only problem with it is that it's in a medium that I physically can't bring myself to interact with whatsoever. I know people really love the tabletop game. This is not me shitting on that or whatever. I just don't personally derive any enjoyment over the models, like painting a bunch of minis and then doing a turn-based thing like that. It's just not for me. I can't do it.
It could be fun with friends, but it's too expensive, man. I can't get into that hobby.
Yeah, the only time that we really got into it is that we had a friend who did the minis. So we, instead of D&D, after we finished a campaign, he's like, okay, I'm going to do a story from Warhammer 40K, but we're going to use like classes and like, or the ways to attack and stuff like that from D&D. So like all the mechanics and stuff of the game are going to be D&D, but all the lore and the character classes you can choose are going to be from Warhammer.
That's badass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's how I learned about the paint and stuff like that with the ships and everything. So and then them just hijacking fucking asteroids and making it their ships is fucking insane.
They basically turn asteroids and comets into motorcycles. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
If the goal is like to make us more interested in Warhammer, like it's doing that. Sure. Like it makes me want to go say like, hey, what kind of, after that video that I saw, Christian, it's like, what kind of media is there? Like what other YouTube videos and lore videos could I listen to that would be intriguing? Because like I'm totally down to listen to somebody tell me about these stories.
I'm sure they have something.
Or even better, animate them for
I would
sure,
like
right?
to see if we can find like a Baldur's Gate type of game that with the Warhammer lore. I'm thinking there is. I think I remember Pat talking about something like that. But
that's Christian's Rogue Trader.
Yeah, so I talked about So I played it this year. So this was something that I played that it came out last year, and I wanted to get to it last year, but I didn't. So I played it at the beginning of this year, and it was one of those regrets because it would have made my list last year. It's on our family share plan. Preston,
I have it downloaded on Steam Deck too. Rogue Trader.
So it's Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader.
I know about Rogue Trader. Okay, I was thinking that was the first-person shooter one, or the team-based shooter one.
That was like Dark Tide or something like that.
Yeah, that's Dark Tide. Yeah. Which I'm still down to try at some point. I heard it's gotten a lot better now, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, Rogue Trader is the Baldur's Gate-esque RPG that's like that. It's not as high quality or high fidelity, I should say, as Baldur's Gate 3. Think of it more as like...
It's like hand-drawn faces pop up versus like full-blown facial animation.
Older
But it's made by the studio who does Owlcat, who has done the Pillars of Eternity games and things like that. Like so it's that isometric sort of top down thing. But as far as writing quality and like the D&D sort of actions that happen behind it and things like that, all very Baldur's Gate. And the story is incredible. And the best thing about the game, and I know I mentioned this before when I talked about it, but I'll talk about it more. The reason that I have been able to find so much extra information about the lore and everything like that is because Owlcat does this thing where it's like basically like the encyclopedia, where as you're reading, there will be terms that you'll see highlighted in yellow.
Click, you find
and
out.
If you're playing on controller, you can press Y, or if you're just on a mouse and keyboard, you just hover over it. But you hover over it, and it gives you an in-depth lore explanation of everything that has to do with that word. So when a character says it, you go, I don't know what that is. You scroll over it and you go, oh, and it gives all the context of everything. And so there was a moment where I had like a conversation with a character about the God Emperor, and it alluded to the current state of the God Emperor and like everything. It's wild. But either way, very good. So, but yeah, that's it. So I'm glad you guys are digging it. For me, it's one of those things. It's just nice to go back to it. I've been wanting to go back to it for a while, and so what a perfect time to do it with a new game on the horizon.
Yeah.
But it was. I'm glad it's working the way that it's intended, because for me, that's exactly what it was, which is, I got in and I immediately was like, yo, Warhammer's cool as fuck. I've never seen this. I don't know what this is, but this seems cool as fuck. Like everything about this it was hitting for me. So I'm glad. How did we feel about the length of this play session?
For me, it was right. I don't want to do any I don't think we need to do any longer personally.
If you did like maybe one mission longer or two, that'd be fine. But like I could do like an hour and a half, hour and 45.
Okay. So what I was gonna ask was, if we finished it, like, to do it evenly in parts, if we do one longer on each one, we'll be done in...
So 6 missions instead of 5 missions?
It would be 3-part. Yeah, so 6 missions instead of 5 missions.
Do you think you could handle the one extra mission, Alex? Like, how long was your play session?
Yeah. I don't know, actually. Like, I don't recall actually looking at like my Steam playtime, so I don't know how long it was. But I mean, it was fine.
Yeah. If we do one mission longer, it lets us finish this in 3 parts as opposed to 4.
So what, we'd be going to 13? 12? I'm bad at math.
So
we'd be going to 11. We'd be going to 11.
We'd be playing to 11 and then stopping at 12, which is Dying of the Light. So when you get to chapter 12, you stop.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm down.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, that has been our first part of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 1. Got to be clear on that because 2 is about to drop. But yeah, it was a fun game. Join us next week. We're going to continue on with that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we need to get in touch with our DM. I think we have D&D soon, at least according to what
we talked about
was said not long ago. So we need to do some D&D. So that's on the horizon too. So yeah, we look forward to that. And thank you all for hanging out with us. And with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.